What's good? What's poppin' YouTube? It's your boy C the Dog here, and welcome back to my channel.
For this video, I want to tell you all about a place I somewhat hold close to my heart. A place I had fun and formed a lot of memories along the way. And that place, believe it or not, is right outside my old middle school. If you saw it in person, you would think it's just a makeup of hills, or just grass, or even really a divot. But back then we called it the pit. Now let's get one thing straight. The pit is where all the shit went down. You wanted to have some fun and chill, you hit the pit. There was a fight, you hit the pit. You even had to deal with relationship problems back then, you hit the pit. Alright, so I'm gonna tell y'all this one story about the brawl in the pit. So me and my friend group all get out of lunch and we're headed towards the pit. Mind you, beforehand at the lunch table, we're all watching a whole bunch of Randy Orton RKO memes. So we had the bright idea, why don't we just start fucking around and fake fighting and shit like the WWE? Now with middle school boys, fake fighting can turn into real fighting real quick because no one knows how to stop playing around. This can range from 6th, 7th grade, or 8th grade. But it usually stops around 8th grade because motherfuckers actually start being able to control their anger. It's also the childish-like playfulness that most likely gets the best of the boys. But that's besides the point. We all had our matchups and stuff for our fights, and we just went out there and we just started fucking around. We just started wrestling and shit. And then every match would somewhat end with the RKO. It's either gonna end with it or it's gonna start with it. But somebody was gonna get it. Pause. Now there was this kid in our group, and I don't really remember his name, so we're just gonna call him Mike. Mike was bigger than damn near half the school. Even the older kids that we had ahead of us, he was still bigger than them. Now while all the fighting is going on and everybody's running their ones, Mike decides it's a good opportunity to go ahead and fuck with somebody that's the smallest in the group. But honestly, me and my other friends really were not gonna let that slide. So what exactly did we do? We jumped that big ass motherfucker. Now Mike is taking hits left to right. I'm talking about jabs, haymakers, getting straights, fucking kicks to the knee, kicks to the shins, kicks to the stomach, you name it. Bro is getting it. Pause. It was very strategic of how exactly we did this. Mind you, there's no communication at all between any of us. I just knew that I was going to be the one to get the last hit. Now, I told you, everybody's getting hit with RKOs in this brawl. I took it a step further. Hit this big motherfucker in the nuts so that he couldn't do nothing. And then I just RKO'd his ass to the ground. No fake shit, no nothing. All body weight, face in the ground. Now I don't need y'all out here thinking that I'm the bad guy when I was just simply sticking up for my short friend. And to keep it a buck with y'all, I really don't know how we didn't get in trouble because none of the authority outside came over to the pit after hearing a whole bunch of yelling and stuff. Nobody came to check on us, which is kind of crazy. Anytime there was a minor disagreement, somebody was hitting up the pit. It could be the smallest inconvenience that happened on the basketball court, in the classroom, at the lunch table, walking in the hallways. It didn't matter. If you were going to have a fight, you had to hit up the pit. Because that's one place the teachers and other higher-ups of authority were not looking. Simply because there was a whole bunch of trees by the opening of the pit. They didn't give a damn what we were doing in there. And then that brings me to my next story. There wasn't just fights that were going down in there. The pit was the peak dating spot. Whether you wanted to have an argument right there, whether you wanted to be a little freak, doing shit you're not supposed to be doing at that age in there, you go right there, go in between the trees. Nobody seeing you. Now that's pretty fucking disgusting. I'm not advising doing it, but there were definitely couples that were doing it. That reminds me of this one couple where they showed extreme PDA everywhere. Whether it was in the hallway, near the lockers where teachers wasn't looking at them. But their supreme spot, their best spot, was in the pit, always on the edge of the pit. They're getting blocked off by the trees, but everybody that's in the pit doing something, whether it's chilling or fighting or whatever the fuck we're doing in there, we see them clear as day doing whatever the fuck they're doing. I'm talking about grabbing, kissing, fucking throwing, dry humping, whatever you want to call it. They was doing everything. At that point, they were basically just fucking. But that's just a little bit of insight of what went down with people in relationships and what they did exactly in the pit. Now we're going to talk about one of the most fun times that I've had in the pit. I was already playing Pop Warner football outside of school, which in itself was already fun. But at recess, you're telling me I could play positionless football? That was one of the best things ever. Back in those recess football days, I was putting up crazy numbers. And recess for us was like 30 minutes. So for me to be recording 1,500 passing, receiving, and rushing yards on a bad day was crazy. Mind you, I'm only playing with my teammates and some little add-ons that we had if we needed extras. And remember, we're playing in the pit. So we ain't doing that two-hand touch bullshit. We are full on tackling each other, no pads. And them boys knew what they were signing up for. They knew that they could get hurt. But that risk factor made the football so much more fun. And it might sound like flight, but if the cameras was on back then in them recess football games, I was going D1. But just like all the fun we had in the pit, has to soon come to an end. Somebody told one of the teachers how we were tackling in the pit. And then we couldn't play football in the pit no more. But luckily for us, the teachers were somewhat chill about the whole entire thing. They just wanted to ensure that we were playing two-hand touch. So they had to move us to like an open land. And we were strictly prohibited from ever going back to the pit to play football. But honestly, joke's on them, because our asses went right back to playing tackling football, and they just didn't give a fuck at that point. Nah, but when I tell you back then was so fun just because of football, I used to get to school thinking about playing football. Like, that's all I wanted to do. Either play football or play basketball at recess. It didn't really matter. Alright, I'm going to put the football stories to the side, and I'm going to tell you about a story where my friend got in trouble on the last day of school. Alright, so I'm going to give you a little backstory. My friend group is basically filled with a whole bunch of dudes. Now, we had this one girl in particular that would act just like a dude. Like, she was a tomboy, but she'd be beating up on us like she's a dude. And we all knew, like, yo, we're dudes. We can't be beating up on her or nothing. That's not the right thing to do. So in recess, we're all just like running around and shit, acting wild. But she would be chasing us, and she'd pick and choose who she's gonna chase. She would never catch us, but if she ever caught us like slipping and trying to like breathe for a quick moment, oh no, we were done. We were getting beat up. And back then we would tease her and stuff, so it's not like we were getting beat up on for no reason. And just like any other day, we'd be running around at recess, and she'd be chasing us. And for some reason, my best friend, my brother to this day, thought it was a good idea to just start chucking pine cones at her. And me and my other best friend at the time thought it was a good idea to use that as our level of defense against her. So as soon as she gets too close when she's chasing us, she's catching one of these pine cones. And it's not like we had them shitty pine cones, them soft ones. Nah, I'm talking about the ones that just fell off the tree. Either the fresh ones that we have to pick off the tree or whatever. The whole ones. The ones that feel like fucking rocks. Daring her to chase us. Because we're like, alright, now we got to get our get backs. Mind you, all of this happened for a good week. And it's close to the end of the school year. And I don't know how, but one of the teachers found out. And I don't really think it was the girl, because again, she was in our friend group. So it wasn't like she was really going to rat on us. Because again, she'd be ratting on herself, because we're all going to say the same thing. She was beating on us. And nobody got pulled to the side and questioned, except for my friend that had the idea to start throwing pine cones at her. Luckily for all of us, my best friend is no snitch. He stayed 10 toes down and said that he was the one that did it. And he was the one that got in trouble for it. But the shitty part about when he got in trouble was that it was like the last couple of days of school. So they decided to give him the punishment. I think it was like the second to last or the last day of school. My boy had to be locked up in detention they hit my boy with a bullying charge. Now I can get it if we're out here just like chasing her around, throwing pine cones at her for no reason at all. But we are using them pine cones as our defense. So it didn't even make much sense. But it's not like telling them that would have proved anything on our side. Because we were still in the wrong for throwing the pine cones at her. But she shouldn't have been beating us up in the first place. But hey, it is what it is. You live and you learn. You move on. Shouts out to my boy though for staying 10 toes down and not snitching on us while he was locked up in the pen. If y'all thought my homie was a W Mans though, put W Mans in the comments. And I'm gonna make sure to like every W Mans comment that's there. After that situation and for many other reasons, everyone was banned from ever going back into the pit for the next year. It was pretty sad though not being able to go back and chill and vibe in a place where we made so many memories. There's a whole bunch of recess stories and middle school stories in general that I can get into. But y'all gonna have to low-key lock in for that and hit that subscribe button if you're new. Alright y'all, I'm gonna wrap the video up. Not gonna lie, I had some fun reminiscing about the chaotic middle school days. But make sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment down below. New videos coming soon. But until then, I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all. Peace.